If a woman tells you her problem, it's not random, and it's definitely not meaningless. Yet most men misunderstand this moment in ways that quietly damage attraction, trust, and respect. You think you're helping, you think you're doing the right thing, but somehow the conversation ends with tension, silence, or that familiar feeling that you said the wrong thing without knowing why. Here's the uncomfortable truth. When a woman opens up about a problem, she's rarely just talking about the problem. There's a deeper signal underneath the words. And if you don't know how to read that signal, you'll respond in a way that weakens your position as a man instead of strengthening it. Men are wired to solve. That's not a flaw, it's a strength. But in moments like this, that strength can work against you if it's misapplied. You jump straight into logic, you offer advice, you try to fix what's broken. Meanwhile, she feels unheard, misunderstood, or emotionally disconnected. And from your side, it feels unfair. You are trying to help. This topic matters right now because more men than ever are being told to communicate better without being taught what communication actually means in real-life emotional moments. You're expected to be present, supportive, and strong, but no one explains what those words look like in action, so you're left guessing, and guessing leads to mistakes. When you don't understand what it means when a woman tells you her problem, you may come across as dismissive without intending to, or controlling, or emotionally unavailable. Over time, those small moments stack up. She shares less, the connection weakens, and you're left wondering when things shifted. In this video, you're going to learn what that moment truly represents. You'll understand why women share problems, what they're actually looking for in those conversations, and how your response shapes how they see you, often more than anything else you say or do. We'll break this down one layer at a time. No cliches, no vague advice, just clear understanding that helps you respond with confidence instead of confusion. By the end, you'll stop feeling unsure in these moments and start recognizing them for what they really are: opportunities to demonstrate emotional strength, awareness, and leadership. Stay with me, because once you understand what's really happening when a woman tells you her problem, you'll never hear those conversations the same way again. 1. It means she feels safe enough to open up. When a woman tells you her problem, the first thing it usually means is this: she feels safe enough with you to let her guard down. That matters more than most men realize. Emotional safety is not something women offer casually. It's selective. It's earned over time through how you show up, how you listen, and how you handle moments that aren't smooth or convenient. Most women don't share their real frustrations with just anyone. They filter. They simplify. They keep things light. When she chooses to bring you something that's bothering her, she's stepping out of that filtered mode. She's allowing you to see a part of her that isn't polished or composed. That alone is a signal of trust. This is where many men misread the situation. They assume safety means responsibility. They think, she told me this, so now I need to fix it. But safety isn't about solutions. It's about how you handle the emotional weight of what she's sharing. Can you stay calm, or do you tense up? Can you listen without interrupting, or do you rush to take control of the conversation? A man who is emotionally safe doesn't panic when problems are mentioned. He doesn't treat emotions like emergencies that need to be shut down. He understands that discomfort isn't danger. And because he's not threatened by it, he can stay present without losing his center. This presence sends a powerful message. It tells her without words, you can bring real things here. That message builds trust faster than advice ever could. On the flip side, when a man reacts with impatience, defensiveness, or immediate correction, safety collapses. Even if his intentions are good, the signal she receives is, I need to manage myself around him. That's an exhausting position for a woman to be in. Over time, she'll avoid it by sharing less. Not because she has fewer problems, but because she's learned that opening up creates friction instead of relief. Understanding this changes how you listen. You stop seeing her problem as something to solve and start seeing it as information about the relationship dynamic. She's not just talking about her day or her stress. She's showing you where you stand with her emotionally. And here's the important part. Emotional safety doesn't mean emotional dependence. She's not asking you to carry her problems. She's seeing if you can handle hearing them without becoming overwhelmed or controlling. When you respond with steadiness, you reinforce that safety. When you don't, it weakens. This is why your internal state matters more than your words. Calm beats clever every time. Once you understand that her sharing begins with safety, you're ready to see the next layer. Because feeling safe is only the doorway. What she often wants beyond that is something most men completely overlook. 2. It often means she wants understanding, not solutions. Once a woman feels safe enough to open up, the next layer becomes clear. Most of the time, she is not asking you to solve her problem. She is asking to be understood. This is where many well-intentioned men go wrong, because understanding and fixing feel like the same thing from a male perspective. They're not. For most men, sharing a problem is a request for action. You lay out the facts, identify the issue, and look for a solution. When a woman shares a problem, the process is often emotional before it is practical. She wants to know that you grasp how the situation feels to her, not just how it works. When you jump straight into advice, you skip the emotional step. Even good advice can land poorly if it arrives too early. From her point of view, it can sound like you're saying the feeling itself is unnecessary, exaggerated, or inconvenient. That's rarely your intention, but it's often the impact. Understanding is about alignment. It's showing that you can step into her perspective without trying to rearrange it. This doesn't require long speeches or dramatic reassurance. Often, it's as simple as acknowledging the frustration, stress, or disappointment she's experiencing. Men sometimes resist this because they think it means agreeing with everything she says. It doesn't. You can understand how something feels without endorsing every conclusion she's drawn. The key is timing. Emotional acknowledgement comes first. Logic comes later if it's even needed. There's also an ego component here. Many men feel useful when they fix things. When you're not asked to fix, it can feel like your value is being rejected. In reality, it's the opposite. She's trusting you with her inner experience, not outsourcing responsibility. When a woman feels understood, her nervous system relaxes. The tension drops. The conversation shifts. And interestingly, this is often the moment when she becomes more open to solutions, sometimes even asking for them directly. But that openness only appears after understanding is established. If you skip that step, the door stays closed. You may keep talking, offering more logic, more suggestions, more effort, while she quietly disengages. From your side, it feels like she's being unreasonable. From hers, it feels like she's not being heard. Understanding also builds emotional credibility. Over time, she learns that when she speaks, you listen, not just to respond, but to actually grasp what's being said beneath the words. That credibility matters. It affects how seriously she takes you in every other area of the relationship. This is why two men can hear the same problem and get completely different outcomes. One offers solutions and creates distance. The other offers understanding and creates closeness. Once you recognize that understanding is often the real request, you stop feeling frustrated by these conversations. You know what role you're being asked to play. And that clarity prepares you for the next layer, because sometimes her sharing isn't just about being understood. Sometimes it's about seeing how strong you are under emotional pressure. 3. Sometimes it's a test of emotional strength beyond safety and understanding. Another layer often exists when a woman shares a problem with you. She's quietly observing your emotional strength. This isn't a conscious test in most cases. She's not sitting there thinking, let's see if he can handle this. But instinctively, she's gauging how you respond under pressure, how you manage emotions, and how steady you remain in a challenging moment. For men, this can be tricky. You might hear a problem and immediately want to fix it or defend yourself if it touches on something you're involved in. That reaction is normal, but it misses the deeper signal. She isn't primarily evaluating your problem-solving skills. She's evaluating your ability to remain grounded. Stability is attractive. Chaos is not. Emotional strength doesn't mean ignoring feelings, pretending everything is fine, or acting invulnerable. It means staying calm and present even when she's upset, frustrated, or overwhelmed. It means regulating your own emotions so that her moment doesn't throw you off balance. When you do this, you communicate a subtle but powerful message. I can handle reality without being shaken. That level of composure is rare, and it signals reliability, leadership, and trustworthiness. Many men confuse emotional strength with dominance. They think they have to take control of the conversation, redirect it, or assert their opinion to prove their value. That approach backfires. Instead of demonstrating strength, it signals insecurity. Emotional strength is quiet, it's measured, it's calm under pressure, not controlling under tension. A practical way to recognize and cultivate this strength is to observe your internal reactions when she shares. Do you feel annoyed, defensive, or anxious? Those are signs you're reacting rather than leading. Do you feel calm, curious, and attentive? That's emotional leadership in action. Women notice this immediately, often subconsciously, and it shapes how they perceive you far more than the words you speak. Emotional strength also affects the dynamic of the conversation itself. When you stay grounded, it lowers tension, reduces drama, and encourages honesty. She feels safe to express more, deeper concerns, because she knows you won't lose control or overreact. That creates a space where real connection can occur, not just surface-level communication. Conversely, if you react poorly, defensively, impatiently, or with excessive logic, you teach her that sharing her feelings is risky. She may still speak, but the quality of the connection drops. She might hold back in the future, fearing judgment or rejection. Over time, these small moments accumulate, eroding trust and attraction. Recognizing that her sharing can be a subtle test of your emotional strength changes the way you respond. You stop seeing these moments as problems to solve and start seeing them as opportunities to demonstrate composure, reliability, and calm leadership. It's a shift from action-based thinking to presence-based mastery. Once you master emotional strength, the next layer becomes apparent. Her problems often serve as a bid for connection. She's not just looking at you for your reactions. She's checking whether you can stand beside her emotionally, which is essential for building deeper intimacy and trust. 4. It can be a bid for connection. Once you understand safety, understanding, and emotional strength, the next layer becomes clear. When a woman shares a problem, it's often a bid for connection. She's reaching out, not because she necessarily wants a solution, but because she wants to feel closer to you. This is a subtle, powerful dynamic that many men overlook. Connection isn't built only through shared experiences, fun, or intimacy. It's also built through vulnerability. By sharing her struggles, frustrations, or worries, she's showing a side of herself that is rarely seen. She's signaling trust, curiosity, and interest. How you respond determines whether that connection deepens or fades. The mistake many men make is trying to help instead of being present. They offer advice, explanations, or fixes too soon, thinking that this demonstrates value. In reality, rushing to solve often breaks the flow of connection. It shifts the focus from her experience to your actions. It tells her subtly that her feelings aren't enough, that her reality is less important than your solutions. Connection, in contrast, is about presence. It's about showing up fully, actively listening, and engaging emotionally without trying to dominate or redirect the moment. This doesn't require long speeches, excessive affirmation, or dramatic gestures. It can be as simple as nodding, maintaining calm attentiveness, and reflecting back understanding. A grounded, focused presence signals, "I'm here with you. You're not alone." Polarity also plays a role in connection. Emotional contrast, her intensity met by your calm, creates attraction. When she expresses frustration or sadness, and you respond with stable composure, it communicates strength without aggression, empathy without weakness. That polarity draws her closer naturally. Women respond to men who can hold space without being swept away by emotion. Another critical point is timing. Sometimes she's not even looking for a conversation to resolve her problem immediately. She's processing her feelings and wants a safe space to do it. By honoring that space, you encourage honesty, trust, and vulnerability. She learns that you're someone she can rely on, not to fix her life, but to stand beside her in it. This is where many men misinterpret silence. When you don't interrupt, argue, or fix, it might feel passive. But in reality, your calm, present listening is active and impactful. It communicates more about your character and stability than words alone could. Women notice this subtly. They see who can handle life calmly versus who gets rattled at the first sign of stress. Connection also strengthens influence. When she feels connected to you, she's more receptive to your perspective, guidance, or suggestions, but only after trust and understanding are established. Jumping straight to advice skips the natural process, often leading to friction or emotional withdrawal. Ultimately, recognizing that her sharing is a bid for connection shifts your mindset. You stop viewing these moments as problems to solve and start seeing them as opportunities to strengthen the bond. Your response either deepens intimacy or erodes it, often more than any solution could. 5. She may be processing out loud beyond safety. Understanding, emotional strength, and connection. Another key layer emerges. When a woman shares a problem, she may be processing her thoughts and feelings out loud. This is one of the most misunderstood aspects of communication between men and women, and it often leads to frustration if misread. Many men instinctively want to fix the problem, offer advice, or provide a logical solution. But in reality, she may not be seeking a solution at all. Talking can be the way she clarifies her own thoughts, sorts through emotions, or gains perspective. Speaking is part of her internal processing. Listening without interrupting allows her to organize her own mind and make sense of what's happening. Processing out loud is different from venting. Venting is purely emotional release, often repetitive, without the need for reflection or feedback. Processing is active. She's thinking through options, evaluating outcomes, and testing ideas in real time. Your role as a listener is to provide space for that mental and emotional activity without hijacking it. The challenge for men is patience. It can feel inefficient to just listen while someone talks in circles or revisits the same points. But this patience is actually a demonstration of emotional strength and attentiveness. By giving her the room to speak without interruption, you signal that her thoughts and feelings matter and that she doesn't need to hurry or censor herself around you. One of the most effective ways to support this process is through reflective listening. Simple techniques like repeating back what you hear, summarizing her feelings, or asking clarifying questions show that you're actively engaged without trying to redirect the outcome. This reinforces safety, understanding, and connection simultaneously. Another important point is that processing out loud often reveals deeper concerns than the original problem. She may start with a practical issue, work stress, a disagreement with a friend, or a family matter. But as she speaks, she's revealing insecurities, priorities, or emotional needs. Listening closely gives you insight into what truly matters to her and how she relates to you as a partner, friend, or confidant. It's also critical to recognize that interrupting the process with advice too soon can halt it entirely. The problem may remain unresolved, not because she hasn't considered solutions, but because she hasn't finished working through her feelings. Premature solutions can feel dismissive, implying that her thought process isn't valuable. By honoring this layer, you transform how you interact with her entirely. You stop reacting automatically and instead respond intentionally, creating an environment where she feels heard, respected, and connected. Over time, this makes her more likely to open up in the future, deepening trust and emotional intimacy. Processing out loud is a subtle but powerful test. It gauges whether you can maintain composure, listen actively, and resist the urge to dominate or control. Mastering this skill shifts the dynamic from one of tension or misunderstanding to one of quiet influence and respect. 6, it can signal a desire for support, not control. Once you understand that she may be processing out loud, the next layer becomes essential. When a woman shares a problem, she's often seeking support, not control. This distinction is subtle but powerful, and misunderstanding it is one of the main reasons men unintentionally damage attraction or trust. Support is about standing beside her while she navigates her challenges. Control is about taking over the situation, directing her actions, or trying to fix things without being asked. Many men blur these lines, thinking that offering advice or asserting their perspective is helpful. In reality, doing so too soon or too forcefully communicates that you don't trust her ability to handle her own life. Women are highly attuned to this difference. If your response leans toward control, it can create tension, frustration, or emotional withdrawal. You might have the best intentions, but the perception is that you're diminishing her autonomy. Autonomy matters deeply in attraction and trust. When she feels free to make her own choices, she respects and values you more. When she feels controlled, even subtly, it erodes respect and connection. True support doesn't mean being passive or disconnected. It means being available, attentive, and responsive without dominating the narrative. Sometimes this looks like listening patiently. Sometimes it looks like asking, "Would you like my perspective, or do you just need me to listen?" By framing your involvement as an offer rather than an imposition, you give her choice and reinforce respect. Support also includes emotional regulation. She wants to know that she can share tough emotions without triggering your defensiveness, impatience, or anxiety. Your presence, calmness, and stability allow her to process her feelings while feeling safe. That in itself is a form of leadership and strength. Many men misinterpret support as weakness, thinking that being passive or quiet makes them appear less masculine. The opposite is true. Emotional presence, patience, and stability require confidence and self-control, traits that women instinctively recognize and respect. Support is not submission. It's emotional intelligence in action. Over time, demonstrating consistent support builds a foundation of trust. She learns that bringing her challenges to you does not create friction or judgment. That repeated experience of reliable support strengthens connection, deepens intimacy, and subtly increases influence. When she trusts that you'll support rather than control, she's more likely to share openly, seek guidance when appropriate, and engage more fully in the relationship dynamic. The distinction between support and control also protects boundaries for both of you. By offering support without taking over, you maintain your own autonomy while respecting hers. That balance is rare, and it signals emotional maturity and stability. Women notice it even if they don't articulate it explicitly. Ultimately, recognizing that sharing is often a bid for support, not control, shifts your mindset. You stop reacting automatically with advice or solutions and start responding intentionally with calm, attentive presence. You become someone who strengthens rather than diminishes the relationship through your responses. 7. It reveals how she truly relates to you. By the time you've understood safety, understanding, emotional strength, connection, processing, and support, a deeper layer becomes clear. When a woman shares her problem, it often reveals how she truly relates to you. This isn't about what she says explicitly, it's about what her choice to confide in you communicates about your role in her life. Every time she opens up, she's sending a subtle signal about trust, respect, and emotional alignment. If she consistently comes to you with challenges, frustrations, or concerns, it shows that she sees you as someone reliable, capable, and emotionally grounded. She trusts your presence more than your solutions. She's testing whether you're someone she can depend on when life gets messy. Conversely, if she holds back or shares sparingly, it can indicate the opposite. Maybe she senses judgment, impatience, or instability. Maybe she feels that opening up triggers defensiveness or misunderstanding. This doesn't mean you've done something catastrophic. It simply reflects a pattern of interaction. Over time, these patterns shape how she perceives your emotional value and influence. What's crucial to understand is that this layer is less about the problem itself and more about your response. Each interaction sends a message. Do you validate her feelings? Do you remain calm under tension? Do you allow her space to process? Or do you dominate the conversation with advice? Her perception of you is built more on these responses than the content of your words. In essence, her sharing is a mirror. It reflects back the kind of man you are when challenged emotionally. It reveals whether you are someone who strengthens connection through composure and empathy, or someone who inadvertently creates distance through defensiveness or overreaction. Recognizing this transforms your perspective. Her problems aren't interruptions. They're opportunities to demonstrate emotional mastery. This understanding also clarifies the long-term impact of your behavior. Consistently handling these moments well builds respect, trust, and attraction. Mishandling them, even unintentionally, erodes these qualities subtly over time. What seems minor in the moment can accumulate into significant relational consequences if repeated patterns develop. It's also worth noting that this layer works hand in hand with the previous ones. Safety, understanding, emotional strength, connection, processing, and support all contribute to how she ultimately relates to you. If any of these elements are missing, the perception shifts. You might be present in one moment, but inconsistent over time, which communicates unreliability. Emotional mastery is about patterns, not perfection. Finally, this layer highlights a profound truth. The meaning behind her words often matters more than the words themselves. When you listen deeply, respond calmly, and honor her process without trying to dominate, you reveal the man you are beneath the surface. She notices, even subconsciously, and it shapes how she engages with you emotionally, intellectually, and physically. Mastering this final layer ensures that every problem she shares becomes an opportunity, not to fix, not to control, but to strengthen your position as a steady, reliable, and high-value man in her life. That awareness transforms simple conversations into moments of influence, attraction, and connection. When a woman shares her problem, it's never just about the problem itself. It's about trust, connection, emotional strength, and how she relates to you. Every response, your presence, patience, and composure shapes perception, attraction, and respect. Men who understand this respond with calm, understanding, and support, creating deeper intimacy and long-term influence. Moments that seem small are actually opportunities to demonstrate reliability, emotional mastery, and leadership. By listening, staying grounded, and honoring her process, you transform these conversations from potential friction into powerful tools for connection, trust, and lasting attraction.